record this. Make sure I actually do that. All right, so here we go. So this workshop, I know, Susan, you've seen this workshop a couple of times. We kind of iterate on it as we go. But just to kind of call out, it really is a lot of things sourced from you, the community, as leaders. So these are things that leaders have shared with us that has worked. So there's a lot kind of thrown at you in this. You by no means need to do all of this. Just think about the things that resonate with you and feel manageable for you and your group. But this is just a lot of different ways that you can grow and engage your group. So this is what we'll chat about today. The last 10 minutes, I'm going to make sure to pass it over to Susan, who's going to do a bit of a show and tell. But we'll talk about a couple foundational things for your group. We'll talk a bit about utilizing the matching campaigns, which Sonia, I actually have a follow-up for you about the question you asked yesterday that I got clarification on. The importance of onboarding, we'll talk a bit about that, a community engagement plan, a little bit around getting local press, engaging your workplace if that is makes sense for you, a bit about social media, and then go through a couple of areas that other groups have engaged or used before. So just a couple of things to sort of start this off. I just want to call out having goals for your group in terms of growth, and also thinking about when you are thinking about growing your group, any events you can align it with. I met earlier with a couple people who were starting a group for Indigenous empowerment, and talking to them about aligning that with Indigenous Day, or Indigenous Month, sorry. So what are the moments in the calendar year that already exist that you can really use to get momentum for your group? And then setting some clear goals for that as well. There are lots of ways you can do this. I'll call out this one example here from our Madison Professional Women for Good group. In the month of February, they did a Spread the Love drive, recruit a friend to join our giving circle, and you'll be entered to win this baking dish. We also have lots of groups plan happy hours for potential members, all those kinds of things, but just thinking about what are realistic goals for your growth and in what sort of period during the calendar year you really want to focus. Then the second piece here is motivation. So being really, really clear what you are asking members to do. A new member, are you asking them to invite one other person into the group? Are you asking them to share about it on their social media? Are you just asking them to join and nominate a nonprofit, or join and cast a vote? Just being really clear about what you are asking your members to do. And then also being intentional. So from the outset, thinking about the types of nonprofits you want your members to nominate. Maybe you're like Sonia and all the funds are going to one specific nonprofit, but if it is a type of giving circle where you're doing an open call for nominations, consider some things that have really worked for some groups around engagement, are identifying as a group or as a leadership team what four maybe causes in your community are that need support right now. Homelessness, food insecurity, whatever it is, and then each quarter trying to focus members nominating different nonprofits under those umbrellas. That is a simple kind of way that a lot of groups have noted being successful in engaging their members and giving them some clarity right at the beginning. Then this idea of celebration. So we'll get a little bit into this in a moment, how Grapevine can help you to really share out about your impact and celebrate your wins and milestones. But this is really, really important because your members are, the reason they're doing this, coming together collectively, is to have a bigger impact, opposed to sending $50 as a one-off thing somewhere. So they want to know about the impact that they are making together. So really oversharing about that and keeping people posted on really how much of a difference they are making just by coming together. We've also got this great example here, and I will share this presentation after, from Social for Good, a giving circle. They do a newsletter, and it includes different things about their grantees, includes photos from events, information about members. So those are just some nice things to think about. And then in terms of using the platform to celebrate out, there are three main ways that I would call out to you. One, when you send a grant to a nonprofit, you'll get a post automatically in your group, and there'll be a little button at the bottom to click share. So encouraging members to use that to share it out on their social channels, and then tagging in the nonprofit that got the grant, all those kinds of things with a clear call to action when they do share it out, like, this is our group, you can become a member as well, here's the link to join, are great things to do. Every post will be easily shareable with one of those little share buttons that I circled in black there. At the end of the year, you'll get a year in review post that you can share out as well. And then also, just by going under join the discussion, there is a place to share your milestones as well. And you can edit whatever you want to put there and change the background, all that kind of stuff. So those are just a couple key things to call out. So another thing to think about, especially when you're growing your group and trying to motivate members to join, is leveraging some of the matching opportunities that we do have. So there are a couple different ways that we do this. One thing, for example, is we run different matching campaigns that go over just a month or a couple months. The one we have right now is Spring is Here. We'll add $80 for every new 10 new donating members who join between now and the end of June. There's also a QR code. If you go into your page, you'll notice there under members, you can print a QR code. So that's also a really easy way to share about your group, print it off, put it places, bring it to events, whatever it is. But leveraging our matching campaigns is a great thing to do. Here's a little template that you can use to communicate out about that. As I said, I'll share this in the follow-up, but this just gives you some easy language to pull from. But this can be a great motivator where you're telling people, just by joining, we're getting more money for a nonprofit. As well, if you're a brand new group, which doesn't apply to anyone on this call, I think, except for Sonia, you'll get, for the first 10 invites you send out, we will automatically add $50, Sonia. I think that's what we were talking about yesterday. So that will happen automatically. I got a little clarification on that.
For the first 10 invites, I get $50 per person or in total?
Total. And actually, they don't even need to donate in order to qualify for that. So you just have to send out 10 invitations.
Oh, I need to get that done. I know I need to get that done.
So it'll be through this thing that you see on the screen, but yeah.
So where do I go to invite new members? I'm sorry, Gabby.
That's okay. So go on your home screen and you're going to see at the right-hand side, you're going to see invite new members, a little drop down there.
Okay.
And Kayla's got a question here. I didn't know that the matching campaign was happening. Do all orgs automatically have access to that? Yes. So that is a great flag. You do. We communicate that mainly in our newsletters. So if anyone is not on the newsletters, please do let me know. I'll make sure to add you. And also on the banner on our website. But it can get missed sometimes. But yes, that is certainly available to everyone. But that's a good thing for us to think about if you are missing that as a leader. So when you invite members into your group, this is essentially what they're going to get, just so you're aware. They will get an email. It will say you're invited to the name of your giving circle. It will say, you can see in this example, it says Grapevine Giving, just as an example, but that will actually have your icon and your name there, and then the member will be prompted to accept the invitation. So this is what it looks like from a user's end when you use the previous functionality. And now I want to talk a little bit about the importance of spending time on onboarding new members. So your newest members really are your biggest opportunity for growth. They are potentially the freshest people, the most excited. So it is really important to nurture your new members, make them feel welcome, give them an understanding of what's going on, so that they can engage with the group in a clear way. So a couple things to think about. The members tab, you can filter by member since. So for some of the groups that I manage, I will filter each week on a Monday by member since. I'll see who the newest members are, so I'm aware. Then you can click actions there and send a direct message to people. Or you can welcome people in through a general post by just doing the @ symbol, and it will pull up their name. But that's a good way to know who your newest members are. Some groups will even create a bit of a welcome committee. Perhaps if you do have an engagement and growth lead, that could be a good role of theirs. And then you can also use the CSV here, download it, email people as well. But then you might not want to use your personal email, but lots of groups will create like a Gmail for their group. Lauren Inn actually just did that recently for Fairfield. And then a great thing to do as well, if you have the time, if you have the capacity, completely understand if you don't, but when you send them a little welcome, and we've got a template here for you to use, including a link to set up a meeting with you. That's just a great way for them to meet someone face to face, learn a little bit more about the group. So highly encourage you to add that in, even if it's just a 10-15-minute meeting. This is what I was talking about, where you can do a general post and add in your newest members. That's just an example. I try and do that every week for new members in the groups that I manage. You could hold a monthly new member coffee chat in person or virtually. We actually have a leader who every month goes to a coffee shop. She's in a smaller town and just tells new members to meet her there, and very casual. So that's a great idea if that's even feasible for you, or doing something virtually. And then just making sure people are commenting and on your page, that you're welcoming them in. That's a great thing to be on top of. And then as much as you can, try and have at least one event on the calendar at all times, because that just means when someone joins your group right away, they have something to engage with, and they can start meeting people and seeing that this is a real group, there are real events, all that kind of stuff. Oh, Kayla, good question. Is there a way to set up notifications when new members join? Yes, there is a way, I believe, in the back end for us to do that. So let me look into that. I think to be honest with you, we used to have that. And then our leaders told us they were just getting way too many emails. So we kind of stopped it, but there might be a way for us to just turn that on for your group. So let me follow up with you on that.
Yeah, and it's not like essential. I just know that I'll check our membership numbers sometimes and I'll see they're kind of going up and I'm like, oh my gosh, we have these, but then I feel like I'm way behind on welcoming them, and then we have other new people. So then rather than trying to catch up, I just don't do anything, which is probably not what you want to hear. But if I just like knew a little bit earlier, I would love to be more engaged with our new members, because one of our well, it's not an issue. We have a lot of people who donate, but they're not necessarily coming to our events. And I think engaging them earlier on would be helpful.
Yeah, it's a great point. And do you get the weekly roundup emails? Can you picture those? They usually
yes, I do
Friday.
get those, and I just am always behind on my emails, to be honest.
That's okay. Just a
Yeah.
flight for you though. Those ones that go out on Friday, they will also have your all your new members for the week in there.
Oh, well, in that case, I'll just pay more attention to those, and you don't need to do work on the back end for me to get me notifications. Yes, take that off.
Yeah, I'm just remembering that's kind of what we decided to do. We put them in there so you didn't get a ping every time a new member joined. So, but if it does start to be a thing you want, let me know. But yes, they will all be in there.
Cool, thank you.
Okay, so this is something for you to think about in terms of a community engagement plan, how you might want to think about things. So, and this we kind of mapped out we looked at a lot of our successful groups and why they were successful, and we broke it out into these sort of 4 focuses each quarter. So the first quarter, really focusing on introductions, making sure your group knows who you are as a leadership, sharing a little bit about yourselves, making sure that there's like a welcome post, maybe you pin it in the group where people understand a bit more about the mission and how they can engage with it. Or maybe you're updating that about section, inviting in people to your group, really encouraging those core members to bring people in, and then hosting a kickoff event so people can meet each other, learn a little bit more about the group, whether that's in person or virtually. And then your second quarter, really focusing on engagement, hosting regular office hours as an example. Maybe that's just once a month, but for your new members, you reach out to them and let them know, hey, come to this. I will be sharing more about the group itself. Trying to do weekly engagement posts is a really easy thing to do. Maybe you feature a different member each week, or something that happened in the community, or something a member shared with you. That's a really nice way to engage people. And then also thinking about establishing a bit more of an online presence. So I think was it you, Lauren, who mentioned someone looks after your LinkedIn page? Lots of,
Yeah.
sorry, say that again.
Oh, yes. Yeah. We just created a LinkedIn and like Instagram page recently. So
Perfect. And this can be a really nice way. A lot of your members, that's where they share about things, that's where they're comfortable. So you don't have to just keep your members on Grapevine. I mean, this is where your hub is, where you're collecting donations and all that kind of thing. But if you're like, hey, let's have a LinkedIn page as well, I think that's a great place to establish some credibility and a presence. Lauren, is there anything you want to share around any challenges you've had with that, or anything that's worked really well with launching your LinkedIn and Instagram page?
I guess personally, I'm just more familiar with Instagram, so I've been handling the Instagram side of it. No, I think it's been really great. I think we just hosted a happy hour on Tuesday, and actually, like, there was a person who found us through Instagram. So I mean, they weren't like a member of the group, but at least like kind of they joined us and learned a little bit more about it. So I mean, at least we got one person through it. So I think that was promising. But no, I think we just started it less than 2 weeks ago. So I mean, it is relatively new. But yeah, we already have like 40 followers on Instagram. So I think
Oh, that's great.
getting some traction. So it's good.
Yeah. And it's a great way to leverage. Like, I always encourage you to take photos at your events, even if they're virtual, because those mediums are, obviously so visual. And even if you can take a quick little video, I think videos get, I think it's like 90% more engagement than other types of posts. So those are good things to think about. So thanks for sharing that, Lauren. And then the last, or the third quarter, sorry, focusing on connections. So as your group's growing, encouraging your members to also self-organize events. So it's not, just on you as a leadership team, maybe encouraging people to create a volunteer outing, whatever it is, your members can pass that along to you. You can create the post for it. Or they can just do a general post, but trying to encourage your members to really figure out ways to connect as well. And then the last quarter, focusing on impact. So this is really key. Your members want to know how their funds are affecting the community, the nonprofits. So maybe you do an impact-focused event at the end of the year. We have a group, Social for Good, and at the end of the year, they bring together all their nonprofit recipients. They host a little, happy hour. People make lots of connections, but trying to figure out ways to focus on the impact as well. And then maybe you want to do an end of the year press release about your, what your Giving Circle did in the year. We'll get a little bit into that in a moment, but lots of groups have done that and had a lot of success, especially in local papers, through their alumni networks, all that kind of stuff.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So when what I'm doing is I'm giving monies to families in need and respite to families in need. Does anyone have any ideas of how I could promote that? Because some of it is a little bit private. Maybe some families might feel a little embarrassed that they need that help, but I still need to. I thought it was a great idea. The lady in the beginning, I don't remember her name, was it Laura? But she said that she asks each grant recipient to promote that they just received a grant. How can I get my recipients to? If anyone has any ideas, I'd really appreciate hearing about it, of how I can promote my families who are getting the money.
I mean, I can see some people have come off camera, so I'll pass it over in a minute. But one thing we've done in the past, Sonia, is get a testimonial, a quote, and it can always be anonymous, or it can just be the first name. Something like that can be super powerful and still keep people anonymous and private. So just a little food for thought there. But anyone else have any ideas to share? All right.
Okay.
Hi guys, I'm driving so I can't open my camera, but I was gonna suggest exactly the same. So put it in quotation marks, and if you can, I mean, sometimes people are okay if you're just taking a picture without their faces, which I think it might be still a little bit too invasive. But at minimum, something that maybe they're gonna, use the goods, or should I say money for the goods. Or if you can take a picture of the goods that you donated or delivered to the facility. we ask our donating, or should I say no, the awardees are making a shout out to, thank you. They're making a direct post on Grapevine website, and then we also send that in an email. But we're asking them, because literally they don't do anything else except the money. But when they do, and maybe a month later, I would reach out to them and ask them, hey, do you mind, sharing on our platform, how did you spend the money? And every once in a while, the charities that win, they're not part of our circle, because our circle also has the nonprofits, and they nominate their nonprofits and win. And then the outside members, or should I say non-members, just make an article or post on their LinkedIn, and then we tie it into link on our website and in our emails. So I'm trying to stretch the content as much as I can to be
Okay.
everywhere, kind of thing. Yeah.
That's
Sounds
really
good.
smart. Yeah,
Thank you.
very smart. Okay, and this is just a little bit around if you do want to draft a press release, maybe you just gave out your biggest grant or whatever it is. This is a bit of a template. We've also got linked here. Actually, I'm realizing I need to put Lancaster County. It says Lancaster Women, but this is Susan's group here. This is a press release that they drafted and sent out. So this is a really, really good example. And then just a little bit of thought around tapping some of your local influencers to help promote your group and get involved. Lynn Kelleher, who is the leader of 100 Women Who Care Bucks County, she once said, she goes to the realtor on the shopping cart or the local representative on the tourism brochure. Think about who is accessible and visible in your community that you can go to and might be aligned with the work you're doing to for them to share it with their network and for them to get involved. So those are great ways that you can get a little bit of coverage for your group. I will say that sometimes these things take a little bit of time to incubate. You'll sort of put things out there and then things will follow up a little bit later, but it is, we have seen success through all of these things. And these are some of the, just a few, honestly, of the coverage that our groups have gotten. And these vary from local papers to mention in alumni publications. So these are some really, really great examples of groups doing that. And then also, if this is applicable to you, getting your workplace involved. We've seen, your workplaces want to show the good that their employees are doing. And so a lot of people will go ask them to do a little spotlight about their group on their company's LinkedIn or internally. And that's a great way to get new members as well. So just a good thing to think about if that is applicable for you. I'm not going to actually go too much into starting a social media strategy. I will just say part of the reason that it's something to consider is especially this third bullet here, the trust and legitimacy. Often people are, this is a completely new model to them. They're joining a group, donating, often not knowing where the funds are going at the start. So it is a really good way to visually show what's going on in your group. So it is added work, of course. So I would suggest just concentrating on one channel to start and seeing how that goes. But it can be a really powerful tool to attract new members and get people excited and motivated. I'm not going to go too into this, but I will say that we have lots of examples for you of different groups. Instagram, for example. We've got Facebook groups as well, people who are using that. LinkedIn, we see a lot of our groups creating a company page on LinkedIn, and we walk you through exactly how to do that here. And that can be a really powerful way to grow your group as well, because it just, so many people can share things out and share with their network, etc. And we've even got some copy here if you want to connect with people on LinkedIn. If you can do a search by location, maybe you do that for Fairfield, see all the people in that area, and this is just some wording you can use when you're reaching out to people. And then also we've seen some success with Nextdoor as well. Nextdoor is a social platform for different neighborhoods. If you join your neighborhood on Nextdoor, you can create posts. And some people have done that and had some success with getting new members that way. And we do have a template here with some copy you can use for that as well. And then these are just a couple tips and examples of other groups. But I want to make sure we have time to go into some of the other sort of tangible examples from groups, and then I want to make sure we go to Susan. But a couple things to call out is the fund drive. Faith, I actually see, who has joined this call, presented this to us, and it's a great way to get more money for your nonprofits without asking them for additional funding. Essentially, you can, through Savers, bring a bunch of household goods, clothing, and get funding that way through Savers. I know, actually, Susan and I were talking about this. There is Savers, it is, do your own research around it, because it is a large corporation, to be honest, but a lot of groups have been able to get some additional funding through this. So definitely want to call out something to look into. It's also a fun event. You get people together, drive a truck over, all that kind of stuff.
I just want to add something real
Yep.
quick on that. We did find a local organization, that has, it's kind of like drive-through drop-offs like Goodwill has. And they support local nonprofits. They're not giving us as much as Savers. But you do get a card with your, nonprofit number. And if you give them out to your members, they can drop off anytime. And then they quarterly give you a donation. So other communities might have something separate from Savers.
What's it called? Do you remember?
Yeah, Susan, I was going
It's
to ask
called
you that too.
it's called Community Aid.
Where are you
That's-
located?
I'm located in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
But there are other, I don't know, and it was kind of like after Savers, members kind of came up to us and said, because that shopping bag with our little like logo on it, after Savers, some of us came up and said, Community Aid does that too, and that's how we found out about it, and we're in the process of signing up with them. You could still do the drive, but it's just another way of doing it. So just wanted to add that
Thank you.
as options.
Also organizing some larger annual events. This kind of goes back to that community engagement plan I showed earlier, but maybe there's one larger event, an annual event that you're engaging people around. This is 100 Women Who Care Boston. They started to do this golf tournament, and specifically to raise money for a young community builder. And this is, if you are interested in it, a couple steps of how they did that. Engaging your Chamber of Commerce. This is actually from Susan's group here. This can be great for some localized advertising opportunities, taking advantage of their digital calendars. So a good thing to think about is trying to get in touch with your local chamber, especially if you have a member who's involved as well. And then actually, Susan is going to touch upon this a little bit more, the Empower Her Market that her group runs, but some groups will literally get a booth at a local event and they'll hand out flyers, they'll have those QR codes printed. So this can be a great way to get your group in front of people as well. And there are some local resources. This will be in the follow-up. But I do want to leave a little time for a Q&A and also to hear from Susan. So I'm going to pass it over to Susan to chat a little bit. Let me just stop sharing my screen. But Susan is one of the leaders of Lancaster County Women for Good. And Susan, if you just maybe want to start a little bit by talking about some of the most successful ways you've engaged your members outside of just your granting events. If you want to talk a little bit about some of those initiatives, that would be great. Oh, I think you're muted.
Okay. Gee, I had all these windows open and now I can't find them. But anyway, hold on. Yeah, I'll just go through real quickly. Here we go. Okay. We have done a lot of different things. We've tried a number of different things throughout the past 2 years. What we have found is engaging with our members as far as how they can, what they're interested in. But as far as some of the things we've done, you saw we joined the chamber. Our chamber has like a couple of times a year open houses where they invite their members to have a table. We actually, we had one a couple of months ago. I'm doing one tomorrow. I put in the chat a picture of our little mirrors. When you open it up, there's a regular mirror and a magnifying mirror. It's got our logo on the front and the QR code on the back that takes you right to our website to sign up. And we were at a women's event and we gave those out. And then at the Lancaster chamber at the table tomorrow, I'm gonna give those out as well. So now let me try to share my screen again. I think I have too many things open. Hold on. Oh, apps, no, basic. Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay. This is our marketing person who's on our leadership. We called it our empower her, but we pronounce it empower market. We did it last year. We meet once a month and do our gathering grants quarterly. When we do our gathering grant, we do it it's a food hall and they have conference rooms in the back. So what we did last year was instead of having a regular meeting, we decided to have a vendor market. Now, Lancaster, Connecticut has a lot of maker markets and things like that. It's just one of the things that they tend to do here. But what we did was we invited our nonprofits and we also invited anyone who wanted to sell something at this market. And it ended up being such a great event that we're doing it again. We're doing it this time on a Sunday with extended hours. And we've booked 2 rooms in that, and we're going to be out in the hall. We think we're going to have 27 tables. We did do an early bird. And so far we have more than halfway filled the tables. And you could see it's not until July. So what I wanted to do was, okay, here we go. This is what I wanted to do. So okay, here we go. What we do when someone wants to, and this picture, by the way, this woman in the white dress was selling Mary Kay. She was a member, and these are 2 other people. The woman that I'm circling right now is actually an organizer. Just an FYI, in conjunction with our our clothing drive for savers, we had her come as a speaker in January. So we ran our clothing drive from December through February. She came in January and spoke as a personal organizer and cleaning out your closets. And we tied that to, while you're cleaning out your closets, put them in black bags. Here's the black bag and deliver it to us. Okay, so but what I wanted to do was just show you what our application looks like, because you can see exactly what we're looking for and how much we're charging. We do all of this digitally. We are asking people to be a sponsor for $250. We're going to put their tables right out in the hall. So when you walk in, they're the first ones to see. I think so far we have 1 sponsor. And then we have an advocate sponsor. So we have, different. Now, then what we do is we do our table cost, and the way we set it up is members and non-members, so that you get, last year we had half tables, but we decided this year that was going to be too complicated. So if somebody only wants to pay for half a table, they have to find somebody who will join them for the other half. But we have nonprofit tables because some of our nonprofits actually sell things and some are just there for information. And obviously we have some nonprofits that are members and some nonprofits that are not. So this is how we did have somebody last year who brought a clothing rack. We weren't prepared for it, but luckily we had given her a corner space. This year we decided we're going to charge extra because it does basically take the space of a table. And so far we've had 2 people sign up with clothing racks to sell. And then what we've been doing is we've been collecting the applications and then we have Square. So what we're actually doing is sending them an invoice through Square to pay for the table. The food hall does charge us for the rooms. And we've more than made back the cost of renting the room already just from the people who are using the tables. We also have a couple of the vendors who have agreed to give us a percentage of what they sell that night. So we have one person who sells consignment clothing, and she's agreed. We did have an event one night at her shop. She hosted her shop and gave us a portion of the proceeds that night. And then she's also this time taking a table and has generously said she will give us 50% of whatever she takes in that night. So those are different ways that we are capitalizing on this. I also just wanted to share my Facebook. Just give me a second because I did want to show something. Here we go. Last night was our gather and grant. 2 things. Number 1, we ask whoever got the grant last time to come back to thank the group. So that way the members can see the impact of the grant. Let me just go back because she had this particular member took other pictures. So this was us with our big check. We had a sponsor, Get House Ready, who has given us $1,000. And we use it for operating fund as well as, topping off a grant. The recipient actually is Phoenix Assistance Dogs, and they actually brought one of the assistance puppies with them last night, which was really, I think, why they won. And this is basically to show how we do our grant on the Gather and Grant nights. We talk about our mission. These 2 baskets were donations that we got from local merchants, and we actually raffled them off. We did a fun little thing. Sometimes we do just a circle where you put all the names in. But last night we did something fun. We asked everyone to put down how much they thought we have collected over the past 2 years. And whoever got closest to the number got the big basket, and whoever was second place got the smaller basket, which was all candles. And then we have these little placards throughout the room where people can scan to vote. So we make it very easy for them to vote that night. So that was just, we're always reiterating how it works. So there's the puppy again with the woman who had the assistance dogs. Gabby, was there anything else specifically you wanted me to talk about? We did, I know, you'll see the painting in the background. We did do a paint and sip night. And someone took home my painting and I took home theirs, so we had to bring it to the next month to share. But that was a great event. We had someone who donated wine. We had crudités, and we made it very simple. We just had crudités, wine, and the location did charge us. And what we do is if they charged us $36, we will charge $40 or $45. And people understand that covers the food if we have to buy something, or they know it goes towards us. So these are ways of just kind of getting extra money into the coffers. And so those are pretty much the things that I wanted to talk about.
Susan, one question I did have for you is, you're doing so much as a group. How do you keep it manageable? Like, how do you split up this work? How do you figure out how to keep it manageable?
Sure. We have 4 leaders. We do have a leadership meeting every month where we, kind of brainstorm about what we want to do and ideas for places. Our members are always giving us suggestions. And that's one of the reasons why we want to add to the board, because, some of us have limited time. We have one person on the board who's the marketing person, and she really does. We have Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and she maintains all of that. So we have one person who does that. And then we have one person who is doing a lot of the trying to get sponsors. And I tend to be and hosts the evening. We are now asking members, I like that idea, to host evenings. And then I do a lot of the finding the spaces and stuff. And it's kind of become rote. We have a calendar and we just kind of see, what did we do last year? How many people showed up? And what are we going to do next year? It's a lot. I mean, it can be a lot. So when any of us is kind of stressed, we just raise our hand and say, I need help. So we did go out last night and say we need help. And it's amazing how many people raise their hand. And we've got like 4 or 5 surveys back last night. We do a survey and ask people what they want to get involved in. And we got like 4 or 5 responses last night, just because it was such a great evening, of people who want to help. So.
Well, that's
Are there?
Thank
Yeah.
you for sharing all of that. And I know we've only got 5 minutes left, so want to open it up to see if anyone has any questions, or for me or for Susan or for anyone on this call.
Stop the share.
Susan, I have a question. Why, sorry if someone else was going to jump in.
No, sure thing.
Why did you decide to do the vendor market in July? I'm just curious around the time. We have we're looking at doing something in November, and this is one of the ideas we were kicking around, although it's probably late for November, but July is when everyone here is on vacation.
Right. I think we kind of came up with July because we didn't have any other ideas for July, and we came up with July. We were concerned about it, and honestly, here in Lancaster, from Memorial Day through the fall is when so many of the maker markets do take place. So it's not unusual for people to go to makers markets during that time. We also were concerned that come November onward, there's lots of other events going on. And so we didn't want to compete with them. A lot of the other nonprofits have things going on. We do have one nonprofit, and I'll talk quick because I know we're getting to the end of the time. We do have one nonprofit called Gifts That Give Hope. And what they do is instead of buying a gift, you can give a donation to a nonprofit. And we did partner with them. They do it usually like right after Thanksgiving. We did partner with them. to help people go around to the tables and facilitate their event. So we didn't want to compete with them. We wanted to just figure out a way. And it ended up that it was good. I mean, it's not unusual for people to they're getting a lot, our thing is they're getting a lot of asks in the fall, which is why, in the fall and winter and Christmas, we talk more about donating after Christmas and donating goods than buying. So good luck. I mean,
ask how much
I
you made?
understand.
Can
would
I
think
ask how much you made?
Oh, the first time after everything, we probably only made about $1,500.
Okay.
Pretty good.
Right, and we were very happy with it. And again, we didn't have anyone who shared with us, and we didn't have sponsors and stuff. It was really
Right.
just let's try and do it and see how it works. And it was so much better than we expected it to be. This year, the idea is how do we get more people coming through the market?
Right.
So we're hoping, in fact, we just ordered pins that say, ask me about LCWG, which stands for Lancaster County Women for Good. And we're going to ask, because it is a food hall, so we're going to ask anyone who has a table and perhaps any of the people who have stations at the food halls to wear it, so that as people are coming in for lunch on a Sunday or to go to the bar or whatever on Sunday afternoon, they'll see it, they'll ask what it is. We'll have a big banner so that we can get more people who just happen to be going into the food hall in. But yeah, we're doing more marketing for it this year. It's kind of blown up.
I have
Good for
one
you.
quick question, if you don't mind. Susan, thank you so much for your presentation. It so many great ideas. I appreciate it, and I'll definitely steal some.
No,
I
I could put my email in. You're welcome to reach out to me anytime.
thank you. My question is, I guess, on the logistics on how do you go about, did you then create your own nonprofit, you ladies? Because it seems like you have expenses and then you have the money coming in and then you donate to the charities of your choice. So Grapevine is not necessarily where all of the transactions are taking place, because you do have costs. So I'm wondering, even with the Stripe or whatever you're taking as a payment, how did
Yes.
you create then your own business entity?
Yes, we are in the process of doing that. We do now have our own checking account and business account. I will tell you that for the first year,
Mhm.
we all donated not only time
Mhm.
but other things to get it off the ground.
Okay.
We split the chamber membership because
Mhm.
that was like 40 something dollars a month.
Mhm.
I bought the mirrors, someone else bought our banners, but now that we're trying to become our own, we're trying to be smarter about how we're spending the money. So we
Mhm.
have our own account, as well as I'm using QuickBooks so that we can
Mhm.
really track and see where the money's going. And the key is now working on getting people who will sponsor us for money, not only to the grant, but also to help our operating expenses.
That's
So I'm sorry, so
fantastic.
you
Wow.
did become your own 501c3?
We have applied for the 501c3. That does not happen quickly.
Okay, so how did you open accounts if you don't have an EIN yet? Or you do have it?
We have an EIN.
So it's
But
business operation first,
but
and
it's
then
a
it's going to
business
become.
right now. It's a
Got
business
it.
right now. In the state,
Mhm.
we were able to get a nonprofit. But federally, we are still in the process of getting our 501c3.
Okay.
For instance, and Gabby knows I'm working on this, for that other organization other than Savers, they need a 501c3 for community aid. So what I'm doing is I'm working with Grapevine to say that we are an entity of Grapevine and we are a nonprofit, but setting it up as Lancaster County Women for Good so that the check comes to us. So you know, we're working with Grapevine on ways that we can do it. But we did have the same problem. How do you get the money to do it? And our first decision was to start charging extra for things. And that was part of where the vendor market came into account. You know, what can we start, how can we start making some money? And originally it was a Venmo account. Someone set up a Lanka Women for Good Venmo. We didn't have a bank for the money to go into. It just sat in Venmo. And then whenever one of us spent something, we got reimbursed through the Venmo account.
That works.
Yep.
That's awesome. I missed it. I was gonna say how many years in business? How many years?
Oh, yeah,
has
no,
your
no.
Giving
It's been
Circle?
2 years. It's only been, well, it will be
Mhm.
2 years in August. August will be,
Congratulations.
and it was so funny because last night when we asked everyone to figure out, you know, to you know, kind of come up with how much they thought we raised, everybody was going, how many grants have you done? Because they figured they knew how much we usually gave for a grant, so that would give them a
Mhm.
good idea of how much we raised.
That's
And the
smart.
crazy thing was a new member, 2 non-members, one of whom became a new member last night. And actually the person who got the grant got the closest. The people who've been members since the beginning got the number wrong, which was really pretty funny.
Well, thank you. So I know we're even a little bit over, so
I know.
just want to make sure to wrap up. But thank you so much, Susan, for sharing. These are fantastic, fantastic ideas. And yes, I will be sharing all of this out in a moment afterwards. And just want to thank all of you for coming and your fantastic questions and sharing about your groups. Even if you're at very different stages at the beginning, this is how all of our groups started. So appreciate all of you being here
Thank you.
today, and we'll see you at the next one. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Thanks,
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.